Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm going to be reviewing a weapons reference book I picked up, 4 or 6 weeks ago at Barnes & Noble. I found this in their discount section, so I don't know if it's still available, but I think it was in like the $10 range. The full title, this is a long one, The Complete Illustrated History of Knives, Swords, Spears, and Daggers, a chronology in over 1,500 photographs by Harvey J.S. Withers and Dr. Tobias Capwell. There's a whole lot of words on that cover, but there's also a whole lot of really nice images on that cover. And the back also has some nice imagery. And this is a soft cover. The covers actually have a greater stiffness than a true soft cover, and I would actually place it somewhere between a hardcover and a soft cover as far as durability goes. And it's a very thick book, and there are a whole lot of photos in this. There are historical illustrations from bas reliefs, from carvings, from illustrations on pottery. There are pictures from illustrations from actual paintings and tapestries that were taken from the particular eras that they're discussing. In addition, as it says, 1,500 photos. So you've got a whole lot of pictures of actual historical weapons in this book. And a number of the things I really liked about this book, besides the excellent illustrations, is that they group them in a number of different ways. They group them by time period, they group them by ethnicity, though Europe gets broken up into smaller regions like Germany, Britain, France, Austria-Hungary, Russia, and things like that. India tends to get one big category. Southeast Asia gets one big category. Japan and China get their own categories, but of course China probably should get more than one because China's a really big country, and in historical periods it wasn't one cohesive country for most of its history. And of course Africa just gets lumped into Africa, even though it's a continent that is massive in size. But at least all of these places outside of Europe get some recognition, and that was very refreshing. It isn't purely Eurocentric, so that was very nice. It's a good price. And again, the photographs in this book are excellent. I really quite enjoyed it. And it's broken roughly half and half. There's about the break point right there. So it's almost exactly half and half between the knives and daggers and the swords and sabers and such. And there are some polearms in the saber and sword section, and there's some spears in the knives and dagger section, which makes perfect sense because, let's face it, a spear is pretty much a dagger on a stick. And this goes all the way back to the Neolithic era, all the way through the Bronze, Iron Age, and then of course you get into the Romans, the Greeks, the Romans, the Middle Ages, and of course the Renaissance area. And they even touch all the way up through some of the more modern areas, such as these daggers and swords that were used as late as World War I and II, and there actually are a couple of military references to bayonets from the latter half of the 20th century. I would actually like to get my hands on one of those German bayonets from the 1970s. They're kind of cool looking. So it's, I think, an invaluable resource for a person that doesn't have a lot of references for swords and daggers and knives. And even if you do have a nice collection, I added this for a reason. It was full of good illustrations. Now, I didn't just want to review it and show the world that it was out there, but I think it really has a lot of value as far as a reference for both the newcomer to the topic and for someone who has a collection of weapon references already. Now, if you are a gamer, this is going to be invaluable to you, because this will be able to let you look at what types of weapons were being used in what eras by in what ethnic groups. Now, not every fantasy campaign is going to have every category I've just mentioned, but most of them have some vague resemblance to our world. There's a reason for this. It's because the people playing the game, us, need some kind of point of reference. So if you have a vaguely Renaissance game, having a reference where you can say, okay, the weapon I carry looks like that, even though, it doesn't matter what the stats you're using, just so you have a visual reference both for yourself, for the other players, and for the GM. So you can help place your character in greater depth in the world that they live in. So I think this is a really great book. I think also with the Christmas season almost upon us, this is a great reference for any gamer. You want to give a gift for your gamers, and you have a $10 budget. There you go. That falls in the $10 budget. You go buy a copy and give it to someone in the group who is a weapons buff or just starting out, and they will love you for it. Or someone on your Christmas list, and you don't know what to do, and you know the person has a little bit of interest in history. There you go. Or they have an interest in weapons in general, such as myself. Of course, I have an interest in gaming, weapons, and history. But I think it's a nice book. I really enjoyed looking through it. I have references that go into greater depth on a lot of these topics, but as a nice overview, and the photographs are excellent. I said this is a great book. So, all the people out there who like weapons and such, you should rush out and get yourself a copy if you have access to a Barnes & Noble and they still have any in stock.